Hey everybody, how's it going? Today, let's take a detailed look at this very cool 2008 Pontiac Grand Prix GXP V8. And this is going to be a detailed, in-depth review of the GXP. We'll start it up to the engine, get an exhaust clip and go over the performance data, as well as show you a bunch of the unique aspects of the interior as well as exterior. And before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to extend a big thanks and special shout out to the Flow GM Auto Center located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina for allowing me to come out and for providing the Grand Prix GXP featured in today's in-depth review. And so, without further ado, let's go ahead and start her up, let her run. The exterior color is known as liquid silver metallic, featuring a GXP specific combination of black leather as well as microfiber suede seating inserts. Gotta love the unique sound of that 5.3 liter V8. The Grand Prix GXP features hydraulic assist, variable ratio rack and pinion power steering, all fed through a unique 3-spoke leather and polished aluminum accented steering wheel. The polished aluminum highlights the spokes, whereas you have perforated leather coming across the entire wheel with unique white color accent stitching. Heavy grips up top help aid to the sporty flavor. As far as the gearbox, standard and only transmission option for the Grand Prix is a 4-speed automatic with electronic overdrive, as well as Pontiac's tap shift manumatic shifting. So basically, you bring it down into the M mode, and you can shift the vehicle manually via the paddles mounted behind the steering wheel. Finished off in a perforated leather shift knob to emulate the steering wheel, and the tap shift logo down below. And so, we'll go ahead and flip on the automatic headlamps, fog lamps, as well as the hazards. Only the driver's side window features an automatic down function. And we'll go ahead and check out the exterior, shall we? The thirst for that extra dose of performance is never ending. With applications in just about every segment from compacts to SUVs, there's one thing that's certain: there has to be an adequate level of power. On the other hand, to have power, you must have handling to be able to control that power and use it effectively. Therefore, injecting a heavy dose of performance into a front-wheel drive car can be tricky due to its inherent design. When you have two wheels that are constantly multitasking between delivering power to the pavement and directing the majority of the vehicle's weight, it tends to lead to excessive understeer through the corners and torque steer with hard acceleration if too much power is applied without the appropriate combative measures. With the Grand Prix GXP, Pontiac implemented quite an interesting solution for its entry to give it as neutral of a handling profile as possible. That and more will be explained after this short background. While front-wheel drive V8s aren't anything new, in the mid-2000s, GM's performance division began introducing high-performance variants of the widely used front-wheel drive W platform that provided the basis of the Pontiac Grand Prix, Buick LaCrosse, Chevrolet Impala, and Monte Carlo. This spawned a new generation of specially tuned sedans designed not only to be faster and more powerful, but to handle better, stop quicker, and have a greater degree of high-speed stability than a typical family sedan. These included the Grand Prix GXP, Impala SS, and LaCrosse Super. See the link in the description box below for my feature on the LaCrosse Super. Through the years, Pontiac has always catered to a wide variety of customers, but in my eyes, it was always one of the more exciting GM brands. The 7th generation Grand Prix originally debuted for the 2004 model year before being replaced by the G8 in 2008. Introduced in 2005, the GXP took the place as the flagship of the lineup in both handling and power, superior over the GTP with the competition package, making it one of the most powerful front-wheel drive cars you could buy at the time. At the heart of the GXP is a transverse-mounted 5.3-liter V8 that produces 303 horsepower sent to the front wheels by a beefed-up 4-speed automatic. In fact, it's the first V8 Grand Prix since 1987 with the discontinuation of the 4th generation G-body platform. We'll talk detailed performance numbers in just a bit. Even though 63.8% of the vehicle's weight rides over the front axle, the all-aluminum V8 actually weighs in less than the standard Series 3 3800 V6. In order to fit the larger V8 into an engine bay developed for a V6, engineers redesigned a number of key components to decrease the engine's overall size by about an inch in length. Changes include a unique block with shorter crankshaft, a single belt accessory drive, and relocation of the starter mount to the transmission. Because the engine developed a lot of torque for a front-wheel drive application, a 3-point engine mount system was developed to help dampen the engine's torque rotation while under harder acceleration. Of course, all that power needs to be properly controlled. The GXP rides 9mm or 0.4 inches lower than the standard GP and features a stiffer unibody chassis, reinforced with thicker frame rail sections that surround the engine, in addition to an extruded aluminum cradle that supports both the engine and transaxle. Out back, a new 17.2mm hollow stabilizer bar helps combat body roll. Gas-charged Bilstein struts provide enhanced damping control, further aided by higher rate springs. The lower ride height gives the car a more aggressive stance while further signaling itself as something special with unique exterior elements. The front and rear fascias are more pronounced, while front-carrying twin chrome surrounds, modified lower intake, and brake cooling ducts. Fender vents, GXP badging, quad exhaust tips, rear-mounted spoiler, and polished aluminum wheels round out the outside changes. The GXP came with a unique wheel and tire package that helped give it a more neutral driving characteristic, working to reduce torque steer and understeer for more overall control. The forged aluminum 18-inch wheels are asymmetric in an unconventional way, 8 inches wide in front and 7 inches wide in the rear, giving the front wheels more contact with the road and balance it with the rear grip. They're wrapped in specially designed Bridgestone Potenza tires measuring 255/45 in front and 225/50 in the rear. The car was tested to hold up to 0.82 G of cornering forces and should boast significantly reduced understeer compared to the Impala SS, which didn't have the staggered wheel sizes. The brakes consist of 4-wheel ventilated and cross-drilled discs measuring 12.7 by 1.3 inches in front and 12 inches by 1 inch in the rear. With this setup, the GXP stops from 60 miles an hour in around 138 feet. The fully independent suspension consists of a McPherson strut setup in front and a multi-link rear with coil springs at all 4 corners and front and rear stabilizer bars. Overall length is 198.3 inches with a width of 73.8 inches and a height of 55.8 inches, riding on a wheelbase of 110.5 inches. Total curb weight, as you see here, is around 3,632 pounds. So we're going to pop the hood. The GXP, as we've touched on, is powered by a modified transverse-mounted version of GM's 5.3-liter small-block LS4 V8. The all-aluminum engine features a classic pushrod design with 2 valves per cylinder, hydraulic lifters, port fuel injection, and a compression ratio of 10:1. It produces a respectable 303 horsepower at 5,600 RPM and 323 pound-feet of torque at 4,400 RPM with a red line of 6,000 RPM. This translates to a 0 to 60 time as quick as 5.7 seconds, while the quarter mile flashes by in 14.3 seconds at 98 miles an hour. Top speed is limited to 143 miles an hour. As far as fuel economy, the V8 features GM's displacement on demand, or renamed active fuel management in later years, which allows 4 cylinders to shut off while cruising to a V4 format, boosting mileage by about 20%. With a 17-gallon fuel tank, EPA estimates range between 18 miles to a gallon in the city and 27 on the highway. The interior fit and finish of the 7th generation Grand Prix is much improved over the 6th gen, but still falls a bit short in overall quality of materials when compared to other cars in its class. Pontiac has a very unique style to the interior, centering all of the main cabin controls around the driver with plenty of circular air vents. The door panels feature subtle touches of soft touch material and satin and aluminum brightwork, part of the GXP package. A large amount of storage down below, and all of your power windows, power locks, power mirrors are all located above the door handle. Not to mention your trunk release. Across the middle portion of the door you also have a bit of perforated trim. The seats are unique to the GXP and feature a combination of leather and ultra-luxe suede for a grippier midsection. White color accent stitching trails around all of the edges. They provide a nice amount of support and comfort overall, and feature partial power and manual adjustments, power sliding tilting, power lumbar, and manual recline. The attention to detail is pretty decent overall, nothing too spectacular, but they do have a nice amount of lateral support with heavier defined bolsters across the sides. The headrests adjust up and down, as do the seatbelts with standard side airbags. GXP aluminum door sill entry guards, and a standard tilting steering wheel. A telescoping function wasn't available. A little bit of satin silver and brushed aluminum trim also accents the steering wheel and other key areas of the vehicle. The circular air vents are wrapped in subtle chrome trim, and everything's nicely finished off with a light gray headliner. A sunroof was optional.
So let's go ahead and see if she sounds. And there is a rev limiter in neutral and park around 4,000 RPM. So we're going to shut her up. Now this GXP features the optional premium Monsoon audio system with an in-dash AM/FM radio with 6-disc CD changer and auxiliary integration. Not to mention standard XM satellite radio. A nice sounding audio system overall that packs a reasonable punch. Cloth-wrapped visors that also have built-in vanity mirrors with illumination. The rear-view mirror is manually dimming and has your OnStar controls down below for roadside assistance as well as hands-free calling. In the top stack here, you have your interior illumination as well as reading lamps and the controls for your automatic sunroof. And to bring it back, just hold the button forward. Now, as we make our way down the center console, we'll start first at the integrated driver information system positioned at the top. Now there's a whole lot of information and vehicle diagnostic functions packed into this little digital display. Right now, we're on the standard information screen, but if we click the one to the far left, it brings up some performance data, as well as vehicle diagnostics. basically similar to what you would see in other General Motors products. Trip computer, date and time, set and language, units, as well as other personalizable options. Tire pressure and turning the display off. Fuel economy, and all of that data is located to the far right. The little arrow button is to select a particular option within a menu. Other than that, it's pretty simple. Continuing down further is your simple to use radio. Your basic commands are located up top here, changing the band, going between CD and auxiliary, and seek and scan. Rewind and fast forward is here, as well as your preset stations or selecting tracks at random, and your other radio controls down below, including your audio and equalizer settings, clock adjustment, and more. Right below that is a standard dual-zone electronic automatic climate control system with your fan speed, different zones, front and rear defrost and recycling, as well as two-stage heated seats for both sides. The temperature is adjusted on these buttons there to show up in the little digital displays. Of course, you do have a bit of storage down below, and in that little pocket to the right of the gear selector. This little rotary knob controls the heads-up display, which I'll show you in just a second. You have a power outlet here, your traction control, and 2 cup holders. Leather padded armrest reveals a good amount of storage, in addition to an extra power outlet and a little bit of coin storage. Now this little rotary dial in the middle here, like I said, controls your heads-up display. Twisting it left and right adjusts the brightness, up and down, adjusts the height, and then this little button right here chooses whether you want to have your compass and outside temperature displayed or not. As you can see, twisting it left dims it, and right brightens it. Up and down, and the menu button. Pretty simple. As far as the steering wheel, your radio controls are located on either side, whether it's to change the band, presets, fast forward, play, pause, or adjust the radio volume. The speedometer cluster is also quite neat in my opinion. Finished in diamond turned aluminum, so it keeps with the aluminum theme of some of the polished interior bits. Also, silver accented gauges, simple layout, and the GXP logo in the middle of the speedometer. Your intermittent wipers are located to the right, whereas your lighting controls, high beams, and cruise control is located in the stalk to the left. Display brightness is controlled via that knob there. What's nice too is that while the interior is fairly plasticky overall, it does have a very unique styling to it. The middle portion is where the majority of the plastic is, but you do have soft touch rubberized material across the top portion of the doors, like I mentioned earlier, as well as the dash. The Monsoon speaker located up front with the signature logo. Probably another one of my most favorite interior styling elements as well are the pod style air vents, 4 on the passenger side and 3 over here, easily adjustable. Alrighty. We're going to shut her down and check out the back seat. Some of the cool tidbits about the back seat of the Grand Prix, for one, is how wide the rear doors open. In my opinion, it's probably a 70-80 degree angle. It's as close to 90 as most typical cars get. So it provides a nice wide opening for getting in and out. Continuing with the front, the rear doors also feature the soft touch material on the upper portions and the perforated trim in the middle with polished aluminum. The back seat itself also features the combination leather as well as microfiber suede inserts. And they kind of sit nice and low, like a little bit of a bucket style. Another nice thing is if you need more storage space in the rear, all you have to do is fold down the seats, and they fold down in a 60-40 split fashion as long as the front seats are up a little bit more, so they'll fold completely flat. That way you can load extra cargo all the way to the front. Probably one of the coolest elements though is the passenger seat. If nobody's sitting up there and somebody's sitting back here, you can actually fold that seat flat and make like a little bit of a picnic table. And I'll show that when I hop in just a second. Now, even though the Grand Prix is a larger car, the back seat can be a little bit intimate for people over 6 feet, as far as legroom is concerned. That largely depends on how tall the people are sitting in front of you. The roof is also at a pretty good height for climbing in. You don't have to duck too much, but again, people over 6 feet might just want to be a little bit more cautious. Now, I'm between 5'10", 5'11" or so, and with a comfortable seating position for myself up front, I probably have about an inch and a half of leg room, something like that, and maybe an inch and a half, couple inches of headroom depending on where you lean back. As far as overall rear comfort, I would say that it's decent at best. I mean, it's not overly plushy or anything like that, but does have a good amount of lateral support across the sides. It does sit you down a little bit low like a bucket seat. But one thing that I really wish that it did have was an armrest. I kind of feel like there is a good one on the door here, but my arm's kind of lacking a little bit as far as something to kind of hold you from going this way. But you're also able to sit 3 people back here with a middle seat belt. There's 2 cup holders down below here, illumination for both of the passengers, as well as coat hooks and grip handles. Now, probably one of the coolest things about the back seat, and definitely something unique that sets the Grand Prix apart, is the fact that you could fold down the passenger seat if nobody's sitting up here to make a flat tray. You can, of course, take out this little cargo net right here if you desire, and then you basically have a little bit of a picnic table. So if you wanted to eat back here or anything like that, if you're taking a vacation, you don't always have to do it in your lap. You can put a laptop there, whatever you want. It's pretty convenient in my opinion. So in looking at it first person, this is what you see. Just a single handle here, and just fold it forward. If you fold it all the way, it will lock in place, so you're going to need to hit this unlock button again to bring it back. But as you can see, I can do it with one hand. It's pretty light. And as far as a few first-person clips, another thing that I'd like to make mention too about the overall comfort, I feel like, for lack of better words, my bottom needs to be just a little higher. The seats are dipped out a little too much, so that my thighs and stuff aren't really supported. They're just kind of pushed up into the air as such. I'm sure it would be different for someone who's a little bit shorter. Like I said, I'm between 5'10", 5'11", but it's just something to be aware of if you're going to take it on a cross-country trip or some extended vacation. The 2 cup holders, and the cool style dash. Alrighty. So let's go and check out the rest of the vehicle, shall we?
Pop the Grand Prix trunk and you'll find 16 cubic feet of total cargo capacity out back behind the rear seats. Of course, you can fold the seats down like I showed you a second ago if you need to expand the cargo space all the way to the front. You do have a cargo net in the back, and it's pretty decent overall. There's no extra hinges or anything like that to impede cargo capacity.
The passenger seat is fully manually adjusting. You also have a locking glove box down below with a modest amount of space.
While a V8 front-wheel drive car may not make the most agile corner-carving vehicle out there, it does provide a relatively good performance bargain on the used market. With a nice list of features, flashy looks, and an aggressive sound, it's definitely a car worth taking a closer look at.
Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed the in-depth look at the 2008 Pontiac Grand Prix GXP V8. Be sure to stay tuned next time, there's a lot more where that came from. Take care everybody.